All right. I want to do a little breakdown on the day. Um, Traded two accounts. I caught the short in one of the accounts, and then I switched over to the other account. I got the long, but I want to do a little rundown on how I got my chart set up today, what I was looking at, how I played it, etc. And so yeah, this is kind of like my little autopsy, biopsy, whatever it is. Taking a look, seeing if I can become a better trader. So here we go. I was looking for a bounce in this level. I had 330 drawn out as a level on my chart. This was the true reaction zone that I was looking at. This is a 1 hour chart. Blue lines are where I consider the structure breaks to be, or like, some support resistance kind of stuff. So I feel like these lines continue for quite a while, and so I leave them on my chart. The 682 might be key. Not completely convinced of that yet, but all right. So this is a little rundown of how price worked today. We had basically the entire Globex or London was in here. I mean, we were just, small range. Then we finally toppled at the open. I think there was some news about Strait of Hormuz. And then we, the bounce came up. The VWAP's not on this chart, but the VWAP's up here. And then we sold back off. So that is kind of the story for the hourly chart and the levels that we have drawn off of it. So that's that. Next chart we want to look at here is going to be the 125,000 volume chart. I almost feel like this chart could exist in place of the 15,000 volume chart that I use. I'm actually kind of considering it because this is so much key information here. But let's do a little breakdown on what had happened here during the day. So we had our open, lots of volume off the open, as you can see. This was all of the London hour, or London session. So we had basically tapers on both sides. Volume was being built through the middle. This is our well, let's see, did that? No, okay. So we have our 5-day volume profile here. The lighter gray, and then the darker one is the 25-day. You can see we put this volume node in here. This was a volume off the open. I was looking at these two bars right here, all this volume, and so this was kind of this was a key level for me. So I blocked that off. When price started breaking down below it, you can see it came back up and it tapered. There was less interest here, and we weren't able to get over the middle point here. So sold off, accepted price lower, sold off again, accepted price lower. We ended up having this volume down here, which is kind of interesting seeing how it like migrated through here. So we had, this volume, we came down and we started accepting over here, right? And I think an interesting aspect to all of this is that we had a poor high on this volume pack. And so it was at this point where I was pretty certain that it's time to start getting long. As you can see over here, I did in fact start getting long over there. So we're looking at this. We're looking on the left here in the story. So we have this low volume node, then we shot out above it, came down. We still had this little pregnant volume, in this zone right here. So we're looking at this volume. This is the important part of our story. And then we busted out and up and we put volume in there. They tried to drive it down again. They couldn't. And we kept putting in price higher. One of my targets throughout the day was up here around, I think it was like 95 or something was the open. I was trying to catch the open. We never got there. But I played I played this chop exceptionally well in here, and then I checked out before the drop. But I was long. I was long. I kept buying up here. I was buying. I had said in a chat that I was expecting to see the high go in up here. So, but it took forever before price broke and started going down. And I think it'll be interesting to see how that reads on this chart, if I would have in fact caught that or not. I assume I probably would have, just looking at this, because we have this volume here that was getting built, and up, volume kept getting accepted higher, and we had this breakdown. I bet once we broke down underneath this value area, or the VWAP, we probably put in a little knob here, went up, failed, and then we came down and we accepted this price lower. And this should have been a very clear sell sign right here. But we'll see how this plays out or not. This is more or less how I was reading it. I think the key deal and what we're really going to get into is going to be down here on this area down here. So we're going to look at this 29,330, which is that hourly level that I was looking for the reversal at. The initial balance low, which we just barely, we went through like 50 points and then we came back up. And then this shit right here, this was probably my triple A plus setup. Is, when we accept higher in the same spot, but we're above this, and then sellers have this big taper, then there's a burst of activity there. And when you look at the volume, right, tons of sellers in here, and then they get caught and they're stuck. And so this would have been a delta read, or a delta divergence. That probably would have been a great call for long. So that's my that's how I'm playing that. All right, so let's go in and check out these trades. So like I said, I traded 2 accounts today. One account I put up like just short of $400 on it, I want to say. And then the other account, let me see here. And then the other account I put up a lot. Put like 1,200, 1,250. So yeah, this was my main account today. Everything was just going smooth. Then we started getting up into that top of the range. We broke through that VWAP, and I kept trying to get long. So I'm up around 900, and I have a $700, $600, $700 drawdown. But then you just get it right back, and all of this whole situation right here from the bottom, from this 212 all the way to the top, is just beautiful. This $1,000 is absolutely just like golden traded. So we're gonna get into that here in a second. So here we come over. So now we've got our volume chart. We got a 15,000 volume chart, and then we got our 500 tick chart. And these are our first trades of the day. And so to put all of this into context, we are at this point. What kind of chart do I want to show here? Let's do a 5,000 tick chart. So we got, it's at this point of the day that we are down. We're here, right? The initial balance is closing. I captured a massive short down. I think I caught both of these legs, and then I switched over to a new account, and then I was on this one. Let's see here. Yeah, okay, here we go. This was the other account. This is how I did on the other account. So this was the first account today that I traded. So Yeah, first trade of the day was up here. First trade of the day was up here. Looks like I got long and I got burned on one. I got put on a short. Very quick trades at the open. It looks like I wasn't doing full size. Looks like I had a little scalpy long right there. I didn't do any pre-market. No. Okay. All right. Then we did. Oh, I think I was in paper for pre-market. All right. I caught this short. Caught this short. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. All right. All right. There we go. I tried to short here. Took a, yeah, I took a 25-point loss because I was just trading with one contract and I allowed myself a little bit more room. Took another short, got out quickly. Took this next short and I pulled 513 down to 450. That's a nice 65 pointer. Came over here, kept looking for shorts. Took this little fucker here for 15 points. Then I got in on this one. I took this for 430 down to 80 points. And then it was up. So that was that account. And I ended up putting up just under $400 on that account. So then I switched over to another account. I only traded 2 accounts today. I switched over to another account and started trading on this account. Let's see if this is the right one. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So this is the account that I switched over to. So when we look at what's happening, right, the big move is done. I'm getting in and I'm just trying to like scalp a couple extra ticks off of this, but you know, it's dicey. Yeah, we're over here. So it's dicey. What are we seeing on the chart at this time? Why were we taking that short? Why were we taking this short? Let's see here. Probably put it in this volume. Yeah, it's probably putting in this volume, and then all these buyers getting trapped, and then yeah, and then I was looking for a continuation because we're at this 330 line. So I was expecting that to resist, which it did, right? I mean, it's not like I got some huge win out of this, but it was just decent. And plus, I started trading with like larger size at this point. So I did one contract here. So yeah, so I did a short here, added, and then I added 5. So I'm short 7 at this point. Which actually should be my limit. I think my limit's 13 right now, but 7's pretty decent. So I captured a decent move here. So 315, yeah, 25 points. Got 25 points twice plus whatever else. Minimal losses on this. Got myself in a position to keep a runner, but you know, is what it is. I want the money. I want the money, or you know. All right, then I remember seeing on the larger footprint chart, there started being kind of like I'm going to call it abnormality in the in the profile where I saw, I don't know if it was this one. Yeah, it must have been. I think it was this one. One of these two. How it was forming, I was like, this is fucked up. So then I stopped with the shorts and I just waited a second. I was like, all right, the longs are coming into play. So then we start coming up. And so in this area here, in this, you know, whatever, this 13-minute period is when I started just taking my first longs. So I switched my bias. Within 4 minutes. Yeah, I switched my bias within 4 minutes of the bottom. Not bad. Not fucking bad. But I was tight, right? You gotta be tight. So I get in, boom, 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 trying to get myself in a position to have a runner. Do it again, boom, boom, boom. This one I think I was just like getting my money. See what these candles are doing. Yep. So yeah, we're not to the crazy buy sign yet, the AAA plus setup. So yeah, so what I'm looking at here was I switched my bias on this candle. I'm watching all of this volume build and all this volume being accepted here, and all this is telling me to look for reactions, to look for reversals down in these areas down here. It's basically what I'm doing. And then it's a little bit harder to see on this 15,000, but you're starting to see these areas of volume mounting up, right? And so when I take this trade right here, I'm sure we had opened, fucked around a little bit, went up higher, and then we came back down into this volume. And it was in this volume right here that I initiated this long. And we took that long, yeah. And that was just like seconds later, then we're up off. Got out. You know, this is choppy. This could go either way. You know, it looks like the sellers ran out of gas, but you know, I don't know that in the middle of trading this. Then I don't trade for a little bit. I think this was a period where I was like, fucking, I'm gonna eat some breakfast, come back, and this is like a banging trade. So this was the trade where it was this trade, right, where we came back down. We tested the initial balance low. We went through a little bit. We just put a tiny little bit of volume right there, a taper, tiny little volume. Sellers couldn't hold it. Buyers came in. This was a huge buy sign. And I saw it lower. It just took me a second to get in. But I took it and I took it with small size. So you know, I was only in with 2 M&Qs. The first one I took off from 65 to 77. So only 25 bucks. I made 25 bucks on the first one. Second one, I went from 69 all the way up here to like 70. So that's a 100 pointer right there. Bam. Just fucking nailed it. Let's see what this looked like over here. All right, here's the boot, right? Here's that exploration below. This is just such a good setup, right? Thin volume on this one. Pack of volume right here. They tried to push it down. There was a huge fight. Bulls won. Huge buy sign. I got in, took it all the way up here. A little bit of pullback. I was thinking that we were bull flagging here, right? I was thinking we were bull flagging here because my thinking is that we had this 330 level that I've been watching, further reversals. We were tapering into it. Taper, 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 taper. We break it. And then we're putting up volume, and we're putting up volume in the taper of this little wick right here. So I'm seeing this volume right here as holding, and I'm thinking we're gonna go higher. And then sure enough, we push higher, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy this pullback into this volume. And so this was my concept here. So trying to entered with 5. Took one off, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this was the number 6, which was, you know, because I was long 5 plus 1 from earlier. So I tried to allow myself a runner still, but didn't work. And then we came back down and we tested that 330 again. 330 is a zone. It's not an exact level, but you know, kind of looks like it was an exact level today. Came down, reacted off of it. Looks like we came up, and then the next candle is the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing as I saw at the bottom, right? So we had the push back down into this volume base. Sellers attempted to push to sell it lower. They couldn't. Bulls got it back. So I entered with another 5. I didn't get a huge win, and I'm quick to taking profit on this because, you know, the market's down 400 points. And so yes, am I targeting the VWAP? I'm absolutely targeting the VWAP, but we're 300 points away from it. So I'm not going to hold my breath. So we got, whoever, 53, just like puny little wins up here. This is decent. That's a $40 win. Got that. started coming down. I remember this one where I got stopped out. I was like, no, this is still a buy. This is still a buy. And sometimes when I have a trade on, um, I don't adjust the stop. Once I moved that up, I was like, all right, now I'm on a different trade, and this was already like in profit, so I wasn't like I was gonna move this out of profit and then and then size down on this trade. I was like, no, I'm just gonna whatever. But I just did a single ad, so we went from 61, 68, so that's 15 bucks in profit on this one, 61 up to like it's $50. So I got $100 of profit on that one. So nailed that. So when we look at this move off of the bottom of this run up, right? I was basically there from 270. I was at long at least one contract all the way up to 412. And I had one loser in there from 58 down to 41 for like $40. So I had one $40 loser, and then everything else was just like golden. Lot of multiple contracts in at the same time. A lot of earth got retread. I got out here, so I exited here at 411 because of this volume, right? So I'm looking at this volume over here on the right. It was probably, I don't know, somewhere in here. I think we bounced. Oh well, yeah. I mean, I got out at 411 because we hit 430. Yeah, there we go. So we came up and we hit this shelf. We hit this shelf, and I was like, all right, this is the reaction. So this is where where and why I got out of that trade. I sat on my hands for a little bit. Price continued to rise. Price continued to rise. Let's see here. Let's look at what this looks like on this chart here. All right, so how did that rise happen? We had this volume underneath this guy, finally pushed through it, and this weird little bit of volume here. Yeah, and then we come up here, we have this massive volume right here. Right? This is price acceptance. Overnight low, VWAP. We're in it. And this is, this is that initial, the area of initial volume off the open. And so we're accepting here, we're accepting here, we're accepting here. This is a big volume, which is telling me it was in this where I was like, oh fuck yeah, I'm gonna keep buying the bottom side of these hills, and then try to scalp up. And so this is where I really get busy. So we're in this, and I mean, I don't think we have to go through every single trade up here because there's a lot. There's like 100 trades, but let's just see how this feels to talk about a little bit. All right, put one on, nice little gainer. Yeah, whatever, $25. Another one on for a couple bucks. Try to catch the runner. I don't get it. Try to buy in here. So I'm at 48. This must be 43 or 32. Yeah. So this is my automatic stop loss. So I take full loss on this. So this is about $150 in losses right here from this entry, plus the whatever 15 bucks in losses from this. So this is a $165 loss. And I'm like, no, I'm still buying it. I get it again. Another $150 losses, probably $320 worth of losses right here. Try again, get hit. Try again, get hit. This is another $300 in losses. So this right here is $600 in losses. And then we get the reaction that we're looking for, the proper reaction. Yeah, this is interesting, right? Because these are continuation trades, and then they kind of like bleed into range trades, and they bleed into you know, oh God, I hope I'm hitting the fucking bottom of this thing range and catching a falling knife range. I mean, this is pretty nasty. This was, you know, $600 in losses. It's pretty gruesome, right? Going from like 850 to 250 or whatever it was. But I catch it. I size into it. I see it. It's real. I size into it. Now all of a sudden I catch like a pretty sparky trade, right? So we got 46. Yeah, it's 25 is $50. That's worth $50. This line's worth $50. So this puts us at $25, $40, whatever. Tried to leave some runners on, and I did. Got a couple more. Got the breakout. Added another fiver. Try to leave room for the runner. Caught a little short there. I'm not sure what the idea was on that, but I covered it quickly. It looks like I tried another short just with one contract. Smart. So this was some minor loss. And then this right here is $25. $25 greenie. So this is almost $100 win right here. Again, trying to allow myself to have a runner. Got stopped on this one. I'm sure this stop, I bet you I moved it down to, yeah, if we look to the right, we're in this. So we have this acceptance of price lower, and then we moved up and beyond it. So I'm sure I had my stop like down in here or something like that. Got back in, boom, hit it. Got long again. Got long again. Bang, 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 bang. Just hitting it. 3 candle reversals, right? 3 candle reversals on the 500 tick coming into high volume nodes and you know, trapped sellers on the delta footprint. Then I tried to get along here. This was just one contract, right? So I allowed myself to take a big hit. So this was $50. This was $20. Got long here, added to it. I remember this one. I was like, no, this is fucking weird. I remember being in this, being like, no, I don't trust this, and I just want to break even, and that's how. Or like I was trying to get break even, and I was like, no, and I was just like exiting out at market when I could, and then this was my move with stops to break even button. I mean, it looks like if I would have held it, it would have been okay, but I was sniffing that something was changing here, and I think when we look here, the reason why I was starting to freak out was that we were starting to fill in a lot more volume below these tapers, right? We have this taper with this taper. I was thinking we were starting to fill in volume, and you know, maybe we're starting to tip a little bit. But sure enough, no, buyer stepped back in. I stepped back in, so we had this 540 up to 557. So this is a $40 winner, $30 winner. Bang, bang, bang. Looks like I took 2 off over here. One off over there. I think that was the end of my trading. But let's look for signs that we could have read for the breakdown and what this would have looked like. We already kind of looked at the 125,000 volume chart, but let's take a look. So we had here, yeah, sorry, right here. So at 1 o'clock, we had, this is basically where this new candle, this new footprint starts. So we had extended acceptance of value here, but now what we're looking for is what's going to happen at this 1:30ish, 1:27 p.m. Level. So let's go over there and take a look at that. All right, so here's the volume acceptance lower. We're moving up, but now this taper is interesting. Yeah, this taper is interesting. Tapers are interesting. This kind of has a poor high. I think I would have been pretty psyched out here, and I would have thought we would have been This could have been dicey. That could have been dicey. But then we had this taper on the next one. Maybe that would, maybe I would have been smart enough to catch that as an exhaustion. We dip lower. And we come back up and we establish value right here, right? We establish fair price. And then we come down. Yeah. And then we come down and then we have this volume build right here. Okay. We have this volume build. Let's see what happens then. I'd say that once we broke through this level, the VWAP, once we broke through the VWAP, I probably would have been pretty privy to the volume build there. I would have been watching that. Then we go up, we pushed up, and this is like a perfect taper. And then we establish volume right here, and then bam, the sell-off happens, right? And so let's do a rundown on how this would have looked. So we have volume established here, migrates lower. So let's see. Buyers could only bring it back up to where this heavy selling started. So all these buyers are still trapped up here potentially. Heavy selling right here. So this is, yeah, this is interesting. So let's do, I'm just going to do this visually so we have something to kind of like look at here. Let's see here. Let's go. All right, so this is the line between the green and the green and the red, right? So heavy selling right here. Buyers are trying, but they're failing, and then we got heavy selling again right here. So it's that this is looking like it's a place that a person could use a stop, right? Like if there are sellers here, they're probably still going to be there later. Moving down, we have some pretty heavy selling here. That's a decent place for a stop. Again, another just big blast of selling down here. All right, there we go. And it looks like that. No, that's not the end. All right, so there we go. Now we've got, then price came back up, hit that. Is this, yeah, this is that 330 level. So notice those tapers right there into the 330. And look at that. Selling just went down. Look at that. And then there we fucked with that 330 again and we closed below it. So we closed below that key kind of bounce line that I was looking at earlier. Yeah, P&L. This was a day. So 4 losing trades in a row. $600 drawdown. That's how it is. You get 4 losers in a row and you can thrash the account, but we look at the win percentage here. We've got, 70% win percentage. Expectancy, I think, is really good. I mean, 100 whatever it was, 120 trades and 130 trades. Like we put up, $10 a trade. That's the deal. That's how it was done today. That's how I traded it. Feeling pretty good about it. Not sure why. I'm getting these levels printed right now, but cool. Yeah, whatever. Really, really happy with how I traded this today. This was that dicey part, but I was trying to get those longs. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, when you look at how this was traded, crazy, right? Because I mean, it's like obviously the short was the one that paid the most, right? So you could have your indicators set up, and you could be like, all right, I'm gonna risk a, you know, 50 points, 50-point range, So let's say you get your breakout or whatever, and you're like, I'm gonna risk $100 or $200. I wanted to have a, whatever, 1-to-1 risk reward or something like that. You would have gotten it. You would have had to have been really patient. Um, or I guess what I do is I kind of embrace the I embrace the 50-point range, and I just try to pick a side, right? It's quick to profit, quick to break even, and this is wild. This right here, what we're looking at right here, from 1150 to 102. So whatever this is, in 70 minutes, put up 100 trades in 70 minutes, and I made, I guess I only made like $300, but because I had that drawdown, right? So I went from 800 to 1250, so I made $450. But great, fucking great, you know. And without that tilt, without this, it would have been $1,600. But yeah, so that's a wrap up of today's trading session.